And that paranoia leads to preparation. More weapons, more defense systems, more fighter jets, anything that gives you a military edge. In simple words, an arms race. SIPRI has published a new report on global weapons trade. SIPRI is short for Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, SIPRI. They analyze military expenditure, basically who bought what. Their new report covers 5 years. From 2017 to 2021, the biggest takeaway is this: Europe is the new hotspot for weapons. Let me show you the numbers. In 5 years, the global weapons market shrank 5%, but Europe imported 19% more weapons. What explains this rise? According to SIPRI, Russia. That's the explanation, Russia. European states are wary of Russia's military aggression. Remember, this is 2021 we are talking about. And at this point, the paranoia must be sky high. And the response was to buy more weapons, to expand their arsenal. 3 countries spent the most: Britain, Norway and the Netherlands. Who benefited from this arms race? The United States, their defense industry. In 2017, they made up 32% of global weapons supply. In 2021, 39%. Most European states prefer to buy American weapons. Britain, Norway and the Netherlands ordered 71 F-35 jets. Finland ordered 64, Poland 32, and today Germany ordered 35. What does the story tell you? That America is making money off this arms race. The war may have started in 2022, but the preparations began 5 years back. Where does Ukraine figure on this list? Surprisingly, very low. You see, military imports depend on your economy. How much money can you spare for weapons? And Ukraine's economy cannot spare that much. Most of their weapons come from 2 sources. Number 1, the weapons they inherited from the Soviet Union. And number 2, the military aid that they get from the West. The first one, the Soviet weapons, include the expensive toys like fighter jets or missile systems. The second one is not as expensive. Since 2014, the US has sent military aid worth $2.5 billion to Ukraine. And that's a lot of money, $2.5 billion. Just last week, Joe Biden sanctioned another $200 million. So the weapons are flowing for sure. But what kind of weapons are they? Mostly small missiles. Around 17,000 pieces were shipped immediately after the war broke out. And these are handheld weapons, basically point and shoot. On paper, these shipments make sense. Russia has 5 times more tanks than Ukraine, 9 times more warplanes. So Ukraine cannot win a direct battle. They need a force multiplier, something to level the playing field. In this case, that multiplier is small weapons. Take a look at what NATO has shipped to Ukraine: Stinger anti-aircraft missiles, Javelin anti-tank missiles, snipers, night vision goggles, portable surveillance radars. What's common among all these weapons? They're typical insurgency arms. Just think about it. NATO has limited their assistance to small weapons. Poland offered to send jets. America said no. Ukraine asked for the Iron Dome system. Again, America said no. So we must question NATO's intention. Do they want to help Ukraine, or do they just want to hurt Russia? And in this case, these 2 things are not the same: helping Ukraine and hurting Russia. Think back to the Soviet war in Afghanistan. America flooded the country with weapons. They provided Stinger missiles to the Mujahideen. Those missiles changed the tide of the war. But what happened when the war ended? The Soviets packed up and left. And so did the US. They had no interest in toppling the Soviet-backed government. Their goal was to bleed the Soviet Union, to give Moscow their Vietnam. And that mission was accomplished. Could something similar happen in Ukraine? You cannot rule it out. Reports say the West is planning a government in exile, possibly in Poland. If Kiev falls, Zelensky and his ministers could shift there. Zelensky gives nominal leadership. The volunteers help keep fighting Russia on the ground. That could be a plan. It's certainly possible. There is no exact record of the weapons flowing into Ukraine. We know shipments are arriving. We know how much they're worth. But we do not know what's inside them. How many Stinger missiles? How many snipers? Vladimir Putin also realizes this. He knows the Ukrainian people will not accept a puppet regime. There is going to be opposition. Add some Stingers and you have a full-blown insurgency. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.